Hello, John McConnin with UpsideDownRealEstate.com and FavoriteRealEstate.com. We're doing a quick series on the California's anti-deficiency statutes, since there's a new one, 580E, and we're going to just make it comprehensive and go back and pick up a little on 580B. 580B is what many people, and I sometimes find myself saying it, the purchase money rules. Now, purchase money is fine if you're talking about a principal residence, or in this case, a dwelling, as dwelling is interpreted by the courts. But I have gotten calls from people in the business and mortgage people who tell me, well, it's a purchase money loan, so it should be non-recourse, and not in the case if it's not for your principal residence. If you might have a purchase money loan on a rental property, there's nothing non-recourse about that. So let's look at 580B and then pick up some key points about it. No deficiency judgment shall lie in any event after the sale of real property or an estate for years therein for failure of the purchaser to complete his or her contract for sale, or under a deed of trust or mortgage given to the vendor to secure payment of the balance of the purchase price of that real property or estate for years therein, or under a deed of, this is what we're talking about now, or under a deed of trust or mortgage on a dwelling for not more than 4 families given to a lender to secure repayment of the loan, which was in fact used to pay all or part of the purchase price of that dwelling occupied entirely or in part by the purchaser. Okay, so what do we know? Well, the case law seems to tell us that, sorry, I hate using, seems to be telling us that a dwelling occupied is the person's residence. I've had discussions with lawyers. Some lawyers are saying a second residence might qualify under 580B. I know if it's your principal residence, we don't have to worry. If it's a second residence, I personally would need to see more case law on the subject. But I'm not. If another lawyer is saying they're comfortable with including a second residence, and I know some that are, that's all right. I just need to see the case law. And even if they don't, they may be right. So if it's your original loans on your residence, then those should be 580B protected loans, which means after a foreclosure, and I'm stating that clearly, after a foreclosure, we know they're non-recourse loans. We don't know if they're non-recourse loans before a foreclosure. So if you've got, and we've got 580E now taking care of your first. So most people, for the first, if they're doing a short sale, they're either got 580B, which makes it non-recourse after a foreclosure, or 580E, which makes it essentially non-recourse after a short sale. But what happens with a second loan? Well, 580B can protect second loans, and I say can because the banks are arguing that they don't protect home equity lines of credit. We have case law that says that the bank takes one loan, splits it into 2, they can't get around 580B. But HELOCs, it's a tough argument. Especially it gets tougher at each level of HELOC. I mean, if someone didn't take out, let's say they had $100,000 home equity line and only used 50 to purchase, and then used 50 2 months later to build a pool. What if they used all of it, paid some down, took it out again? Are we going to consider the first part of the loan 580B non-recourse loan protected, and the part that came out later, or the part that was drawn down and then taken out again, non-recourse? Are they going to have a hybrid recourse non-recourse loan? Things to think about. Again, when you look at the facts and situations, it can usually convince a lawyer one way or another how a court might rule, but for some people, or should rule, but for some people that's not enough. So again, we're going to also cover this. This is why CAR, even in the simple issues like 580B, non-recourse loans after foreclosure, should be pretty solid. But when you bring it into short sales, it can become difficult. So once again, this is the so-called purchase money non-recourse loan statute. In short, if you've got a first loan, great. If you haven't refinanced it, if you've got a second, you've got to be on your toes. Thanks, John McConnin, UpsideDownRealEstate.com.